Good evening to all. It has been pretty hectic of late. Uh, I have been busy presenting paper in one college or the other. During the course of uh, different paper presentations in different colleges and universities, uh, and during the interactive session with fellow research scholars and students, colleagues, professors, and even people belonging not necessarily to within this our academic fraternity. Some of the questions and interrogations, some of the queries uh, have been disturbing me of late. So this video is not necessarily an upload which would answer those questions. On the other hand, on the contrary, this video would ask more questions to which uh, we need to investigate and research. Uh, we need to dig deep and search and research in the days to come. And these are the questions that have been plaguing me, and these are the questions that I want my colleagues, my friends, my professors, my students to think over. Now, what happens if a child is born in a Hindu household? I mean, if both mom and dad, both mom and dad, uh, both of them, the parents are Hindu, does it automatically make the child Hindu? Similarly, if a child is born with something between between the legs, then does that necessarily make the child male? If a child is born out of Muslim parents, the mom is Muslim, the dad is Muslim, so a child is born out of Muslim parents, does that necessarily make the child Muslim automatically by default? Does it? Should it? What if a child is born who does not have anything between the legs? Does it therefore necessarily make that child female automatically by default? If you think being born with something between the legs necessarily makes you male, this act of sexualizing the child as male or female is an act of tremendous violence, and nothing can be more violent than this act of sexualizing a newborn baby. Do we ever ask the child, ever, even after the child grows up, do we ever ask, does anyone ever ask that child, what sexed identity do you prefer to what identity? No, we don't, because we pre-assume, again by default, automatically, that since that child is born with something between his legs, so obviously the child has to be, this is the problem, child must be, this is the problem, this has to be and must be, these are the problems, these are the acts of violence. So then the child, since it is born with something between the legs, it is a male sex body, and the entire patriarchal culture and society then expects, and what does it expect? The culture and society expects that sexed male body to behave and to perform masculine gender. Now, I will come back to this male sex body being forced culturally and socially to perform masculine gender later. But let's focus on this very act of sexualizing a child's body. So, the political game, the patriarchal political game of sexualizing a child's body begins as soon as the nurse lifts the towel and shows that there is something between the two legs of the child. Nobody asks the child that, do you accept that we are sexing your body? Do you accept that you are sexed male because you have penis? Do you accept that since you are born with something between the legs that we call you male sex body? What has, now obviously the next question that is disturbing me is, what has male sexed body got to do with male being a male? Why does the presence of penis make a body male sexed? Why does the presence of vagina make a body sexed female? Is this connection between being a male and having a penis between the legs, being a female and having a vagina between the legs, is biological, or this is also socially and culturally constructed like gender? Is therefore sex is as much a gendered is therefore sex is as much a social construct, as much a cultural construct as gender? We all know that gender is a social construct, gender is a cultural construct. But then the way we call someone male on the basis of penis, the way we call someone female on the basis of vagina, is also a social construct, is also a cultural construct. Because I may not accept me being a male in spite of the presence of something between my legs. Yes, I may have something between my legs, but still I may refuse to accept male sexed identity. Why? Because I have not chosen it. I have not selected it. I have not voluntarily opted for my male sex body. It's thrust upon me. It's forced upon me. It's imputed upon me. And I may not be comfortable with it. I may be absolutely uncomfortable with it. I may refuse to accept it. So this very act of calling someone sexed male or the sexed female, as soon as the nurse lifts the towel and as soon as the baby is born, chele hoyeche, meye hoyeche, this is an act of violence. So gendering is obviously an act of violence, but more importantly, even before that, sexualizing the body just because of the presence or absence, something or nothing between the legs. The sexualization of body is also an act of violence. Now, why? Because this very act does not take the approval, the consent, the onumoti, the onumodon of the person upon whose body it has been indented, upon whose body it has been just superimposed, it has been violently thrust. So I do not have any decision on whether I consider my sex body male or female. My parents have decided, my relatives have decided, this beautiful patriarchal society has decided, this beautiful patriarchal culture has decided that since you have something between the legs, we will call you sexed male. And automatically, then since we have decided your sex, now obviously we will expect you to be behaving and performing masculinity, the verb of masculinity, as Judith Butler would say. And then obviously we will expect that you will desire a female sex body. And obviously we will take it for granted that all human beings are heterosexual. Incredible. So I have no authority over my body, whether it is sexed male or female. So the whole society decides on the basis of something between the legs. And then expects it to be, since I am decided that I am sex male, then everybody expects me to be behaving in a masculine fashion. I have to play cricket, I have to fight with boys, I have to be comfortable under blazing, sweltering sun. And then, somewhere down the line, they would expect that I would choose a girl. Because I am sexed male, that they have decided without my consent. I am gendered masculine, that they have decided. So obviously, my sexuality would lead to the desire of a female body. Because heterosexuality is normal and heterosexuality is natural. And we know how nature is a cultural discourse, how nature is culturally naturalized, how nature is culturally normalized. And therefore heterosexuality becomes normalized heterosexuality, heteronormativity. But all starts because they had to decide heterosexuality, because that is only the sexuality that produces babies. So that's why they had to decide a particular gender performance, that is masculinity. And in order for them to decide the gender performance, they had to fix my gender. That is, since you have something between the legs, everybody will call you sex male. Even if you are not comfortable, even if you don't agree with it. We don't care. We don't give a damn to what you agree or do you like or not, don't like. But আমরা ঠিক করে নিয়েছি আমরা তোমাকে sex male বলবো, since you have something very important between the legs. So the body is stabilized So the sex is stabilized, so that gender could be stabilized, certain kind of performance, and therefore gender is stabilized because heterosexuality could be stabilized. Now the male will sexually be desirous for female, and heterosexuality is decided because that is the only form of sexuality that produces kids. So the capitalism and market would continue. So in order for capitalism to continue, they had to decide heterosexuality. Let's go back. And then in order for heterosexuality to continue, they had to decide the gender. And in order for gender to continue, they had to decide the sex. With this thought, I'm leaving you. Think about this, and we'll surely meet you again. Take care. Stay home, stay safe.